The profound tragedy that has exposed a structural failure in our education system, the death of Ruth Perry, the respected head teacher, and the continued shortcomings of Ofsted's inspection regime. This story is not only about personal loss, it's a mirror reflecting a system that is badly falling short and that demands urgent redress. Ruth Perry was the head teacher of Caversham Primary School in Reading in Berkshire, a school once rated outstanding. And in November 2022, following a routine Ofsted inspection, her school was downgraded to inadequate. I've actually seen exactly the same happen elsewhere, and it also led to fatalities and the loss of a really good head teacher. So Ruth Perry's tragedy is not the only one. The single word judgment that carried devastating consequences. It's not the only problem with Ofsted, it's the nature of Ofsted. And a tarnished professional reputation, the potential loss of leadership, the existential threat to the school's failure, and the coroner later ruled that the Ofsted inspection had contributed to Ruth Perry's decision to take her own life in January 2023. It was not an isolated failing, as I say, of individuals, but rather an indictment of a system that condenses the immense complexity of a school's work into a one-word verdict. And I think we've got into a mess. It's very useful to have school inspections. Those school inspections should primarily be to ensure the school keeps up to standard, and it's therefore for the school. It's therefore a help for the school. This idea that the school inspection should produce a league table and be of some service to parents. All schools should be of a standard where parents can rely on them. That's the bottom line. A parental choice should be about location and about whether they like the school. It shouldn't be about the quality of the school's system. The quality of all schools in the United Kingdom should be a standard. Some schools may be even better. But there should be a standard that parents can rely on. And if schools are not of that standard, then that is a failing of Ofsted. Let's get this right. It's not a failing of the school, it's a failing of Ofsted to inspect and to keep the schools up to standard. We've gone wrong. We've gone badly wrong with the understanding of what a school inspection is for. More than that, I know so many school inspectors who are retired or active headmasters who are constantly being pulled into the system to stack up the system or to advise schools about what they've got to do in order to get through their Ofsted. It's a farce. It's a farce. And schools, state schools, private schools, are both paying for these advisors from the Ofsted system to big up the school before the Ofsted inspection when it finally comes. Just rubbish. Utter rubbish. These inadequates being pulled into schools. And I must put my cards on the table. I've been one of them, in a way. Simply because I've got the word professor in front of my name, I've been pulled into various schools in the advent of a school inspection because I think the schools assumed that that would curry favour. It doesn't. It just simply makes it very difficult to survive in a staff room. And it's a nightmare. A school going through a school inspection, I've done it twice now, 3 times, I think. 3 times or 4 times. It's horrible. It's horrible if you're a permanent member of staff. It's pretty awful if you're pulled in. You only realise with hindsight if you're pulled in simply to stack up the numbers, simply to make it look better. You see a school at the worst possible time under the greatest possible stress. The outpouring of grief and anger following Ruth's death ignited national demands for change. And her sister, Professor Julia Waters, has become a leading voice for reform, supported by heads of major teaching unions, mental health advocates and former Ofsted inspectors. In an open letter addressed to the Education Secretary, Bridget Phillipson, Watson and over 30 education leaders warned that the government's proposed reforms were dangerously insufficient. They criticised the changes as cosmetic, removing single-word judgments by replacing them with report cards that risked reproducing the same high-pressure, low-trust environment, just colour-coded. They rightly pointed out that trust in the system has been shattered, and the rushed nature of the consultation and the failure to fully engage with educators' experience only deepens the crisis. Ofsted has long been accused of fostering a culture of fear, and the original system reduced a school's extraordinary complexity to a simplistic label: outstanding, good, requires improvement, or inadequate. And the watchdog's approach has consistently been described as high stakes for schools, low information for parents, minimal accountability for inspectors. There's no independent complaints procedure worth the name. Heads can challenge a verdict, but the system is effectively judge, jury, and executioner. The result: careers destroyed, communities destabilised, and most tragically, lives lost. And I come back to the main point. The job of Ofsted is to ensure that all schools are of a quality that parents can rely on. All schools. So this idea that the Ofsted inspection is the thing that parents should get information about is simply rubbish. We've provided some sort of nonsense and nonsense criteria. Ofsted is there for the schools, and we need to re-establish this idea that Ofsted is a private arrangement for to ensure that all schools are up to a single standard. And if they're not, then they either need to be chivied into action or they need to be closed. Very simple. Very simple. But to run around for years saying your school is inadequate publicly is nonsensical. Makes no sense. The job of Ofsted is to ensure that all schools are performing to a level of where parents can have confidence in them. And if schools are not, that is the failing of Ofsted. Now, in response to public fury, the Department of Education announced plans to abolish the single-word grade and introduce the colour-coded report card system. The underlying problems therefore remain untouched. Excessive pressure persists, subjectivity and inconsistency are left unresolved, the absence of a real independent complaints mechanism endures, because we've replaced the real responsibility of Ofsted with this fake problem about, oh, you don't like the one word solution, you don't like the one word branding. Well, let's change that. Leading experts, including former HMIs, have criticised the new proposals. 9 out of 10 respondents to a separate consultation described the 5-point grading scale as unfit for purpose. The Education Select Committee's recommendations after its inquiries into Ofsted's work, launched because of Ruth's death, has similarly been sidestepped. Let's not reduce this to dry technicalities. Ruth Perry was not a statistic. She was a devoted educator, a sister, a mother, a human being. When we speak of excessive pressure and high stakes, we must remember that these phrases mask real anguish, despair, and in Ruth's case, death. The Coalition's warning is unambiguous. Without genuine reform, preventable deaths may occur again. There's still time for the government to act wisely, to delay the rushed reforms, to institute an independent, transparent appeals process, to ensure that inspections are genuinely collaborative and constructive, not punitive and destructive, and that we have a standard of excellence across the board, which is maintained and supported by organisations like Ofsted. And if they can't do that, if their only purpose is to punish, slap down, and brand schools as inadequate, then they are failing. Not the schools that are failing. We take that as a given. Ofsted is failing. Ofsted's job is to bring all schools up to this basic standard. Oh, right, okay, if some schools are outstanding, that's a joy. But all schools should be brought to that basic standard. And if they're not, that is Ofsted's failure. And we owe it to Ruth Perry's memory and to every teacher striving to nurture the next generation to create an inspection system that values humanity as much as it does standards. Anything less is an unforgivable betrayal.